All right, today I'm going to talk about something that I kind of have an opposing view on. I think a lot of people really focus on the technical side, and it totally makes sense with this. However, I don't think it's always the healthiest approach. I don't think it's the only approach. I see so many new editors and even seasoned editors who are really focused on what a camera's specs and features can do and how that impacts the color grade versus planning for a color grade. Over the last couple of years, a lot of people have been messaging me more and more about like, hey, I love your grade, I love the look of this footage, and just more people have been like, hey, like you should put more of your grading stuff up. So I've tried to implement more of that. I've tried to bring in more of my grade works. But the reality of it is like, I don't even see myself as a colorist. I see myself as a producer and DP and someone who really plans for a color grade. Planning for your color grade is, I think, the most important part. I think if you're really thinking through your color grade before you ever hit record, before you ever get to set, you can make a lot of your decisions through lighting and how you manage media. I shoot on a ton of different cameras, so this all changes. When I'm thinking about a project, I'm considering media management, how long I want to spend on this project in post-production. And occasionally I will have a project that will be a little bit more stylized, that I'll really push the grade in a different way. More times than not, I'm trying to get as close to the look in camera as possible and trying to reduce as many clicks as I can in post-production. If I can get my clicks down, then I can actually turn this project around a lot quicker, which hits our deadlines, which makes our clients happy. A lot of it is efficiency. A lot of it is quick turnaround. And for me, if I'm spending a lot of time color grading and fixing mistakes, color correcting versus color grading, that takes up a lot of time. Earlier projects, I would notice that we would just kind of go in and shoot a scene, do a different scene, and we might change lighting. We might not have consistent lighting. It might be like a warmer versus cooler. And I noticed that I was doing all this color correcting. When you start out, you're going to have those mistakes. You're going to, not expose things perfect. I think if you can plan for a lot of this beforehand, it makes a huge difference. If I can kind of set the rules beforehand, if I can set, our camera's white balance, this is what it's going to be, and this is the color relationship of our camera. 90% of our projects, I'm usually setting a camera to 4700 Kelvin because it's kind of between 3000 and 5600, and it's a little cooler. Most of my stuff lands a little bit cooler. And then a lot of our lighting is set at 5600, a little bit warmer. And then everything is an accent or a color or an exact hue. And if you can use different technology, you can get exact measurements. It'll save you a lot of time if you can kind of pre-program things and set those limits. That's kind of the core of being a colorist, is setting those limits to where I can bring it into post. I can kind of grade, by scene, by lighting scene. So if we're doing a moody scene and all of it is consistent, I can grade all of those clips the same way. But we can build multiple different lighting scenes for a project and kind of create the universe that everything lives in. To me, I see color grading as a universe, as a stylized decision. Not to say every project has the same grade across it, but maybe this universe and this universe within a project collide, and this has its look and that has its look. We can debate technicality and creativity all we want, but for me, that's how we typically do it. That's how we prepare and plan our projects. That's why they look the way they do. I don't think we're overly creative. I try to simplify as much as possible. I don't want it to be so simple that it's basic, but I want it to be simple enough that it's manageable in post, that we have a decision made before we get to production. This is where mood boards go a long way. If we can kind of get a mood board in front of our client, whether that's lighting direction, lighting style, then we know we're good to go with that. And mood boards go a long way. And then if you know what camera you're shooting on to aid in that, that plays a big role too. Now we're shooting a lot more on the red. And with the red, one of the biggest things is we're not shooting at the most uncompressed format. A lot of times I'm compressing that camera down because it eats up so much data. I'm not interested in finding the most data hungry camera and getting the most perfect result out of it so that I can fix it in post. A lot of times with the red, we're shooting at 11:1 compression. We're saving us more space and we're keeping the production moving. For me, I don't want to eat up a bunch of space. I want to expose as properly as possible so that my grade is simple. I don't have to push it. Even with the red, a lot of the times, we're shooting proxies. So when we have those proxies that we're grading, I'd love for those proxies to be graded as accurately as possible. They're small compressed files, so I can't push the grade super hard. But for the most part, it's planning for this. It's not having the best camera. It's seeing things for what they are and trying to get it as accurately as possible. That's our approach. That's my mentality with color grading. That's where my grading comes from. A lot of it's lighting. It's very minimalistically stylized. It's very much what we light for, how we plan for it, and then that translates into a smoother post-production process and a smoother color grading and less color correcting process. And I think that you can still be creative within those parameters. I think a lot of those words can get abused. You can be too efficient. You can be efficient in the manner that it actually kills creativity. But I like to find that balance of being efficient while being creative and just maximizing your project and making a good experience. This is a little bit more bigger picture. I'll probably dive in a little bit more. I'll probably show some color grading examples down the road if you're interested. But I just kind of wanted to lay the groundwork of what color grading is to me, how I see myself as a colorist in this space, and really how being a DP translates to being a colorist. Planning, planning, planning. I'd love to hear your feedback on this, whether you liked it, whether I should do anything else, if there's any project you'd like to see me do color grades on. All in all, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that sort of stuff, and I'll see you next time.